Welcome back, everybody. Well, just once I'd like to come up this mountain and not have a car accident or road work or snow or rain or some kind of crap. Today I'm stuck in a 50 car backup because they're retopping the asphalt up ahead. Oh well. Let's get to work on the tractor. First of all, to work on a tractor, to split it in half, you have to have this splitting jig because a tractor has no frame. To split it, you basically take the transmission bolts out and slide the back half away from the front half, and you have to have this jig or you'll have two halves laying on the ground that you'll never get back together. And if everything goes well, this is what you should see. Well, let's take a look at the transmission, the forward part. We're having problems with the forward reverse shift, which is this gear cluster down here. As we saw in an earlier video, we're missing a couple of pieces, and the gears, the teeth have been pretty well crashed on them. So we'll be replacing these. We'll take a look at them a little bit later on. But yeah, it's mostly garbage down there. These gears here in the front, that's first, second, third, and fourth gear. And they're perfectly fine. So we have first, second, third, fourth, forward, reverse, and then we have a 3-range splitter, so that gives us 12 gears. And here's the gear cluster after we've pulled out part of it. That's the shift ring. This is the forward gear and the shift hub with the synchro. So it wasn't all that difficult to take apart once you got the tractor separated. I don't know what I was so afraid of. Probably afraid of getting into a mess I couldn't get out of. So here's the forward gear. Doesn't look too bad. The gear teeth don't look too bad, but the shift teeth, these are the teeth that the shift collar slides onto. Those are really worn over, rounded out and ground off. This is the hub. This is what the shift ring slides back and forth on. And the 3 slots there should have metal pieces in them called synchro dogs. This is a shift collar. This shift collar locks onto the gears into forward or reverse, and the groove down the middle actuates the synchro dogs to synchronize the transmission anytime the collar goes to move, so you don't grind the gears, which has been happening quite a bit because the synchro dogs are gone. Don't know if they were never put in or if they broke and fell out. But this is the reverse hub, and there's bearings in here, but all the bearings are crowded onto one side. That's what a good bearing should look like. It has a cage holding the balls in place. This one is missing the cage, so all the balls are on one side. That makes it out of center, causes problems in the transmission. The splines and the gears don't look too bad, but being that the race from the bearing has spun on the inside of that hub, I'm going to have to replace it. I don't want to take any chances doing all this work and then having it go into premature failure. I need to get some more years out of this tractor. But that's the assembly, how it goes in. We'll take a closer look at that. First we're going to clean up the gears so they're not all greasy. I'm cleaning them in gasoline because if you clean them in acetone, acetone burns with a pale blue flame, and you can't see that on video. If there's a fire, I want to see it. You know, I've got to video it. So here's the gear assembly, kind of mocked up. I got a bolt holding it together. That's forward, that's reverse. And the collar slides back and forth to select which gear you want. This is the reverse gear hub with the bearing. The bearing, basically, I just pushed it out with my fingers. It didn't stay in there very well. This is the forward gear. You can see the teeth there are ground up and rounded over. And this is the shift collar. That will be replaced too, because that's really screwed up. And those are unacceptable, unusable. Now here's a new shift collar that I got. You notice that the teeth actually protrude a little bit out of the collar face, standing a little proud there. And the old one, those things are just ground down to nubs. There's nothing left. And the synchro rings, we're going to change both of those. They're pretty cheesed out. They've been beaten pretty well. Now, we're going to look at the range box. This is where I get my high range, mid range, and low range. And in mid range, I've been getting a lot of grinding noise. That gear doesn't look too good. It's kind of roached. But this gear here, good Lord. I'm surprised the transmission hasn't totally grenaded. That's a terrible gear. That's really messed up. I've never seen a gear that bad in a working transmission. But to get that gear off that shaft, to change it, I got to pull the pinion shaft. And to move the pinion shaft, I have to pull out the differential. To get out the differential, I have to pull out the PTO drive shaft. And then I have to remove the axle housings and the bearings to get the differential out. So the first thing we need to do is to drain the tires. That's right, drain the tires. I got about 800 pounds of counterweight in those tires, so that holds the back of the tractor down. And we had to pull off the roll bar and the bimini because those are bolted down onto the axle housings, which I have to remove to get the bearings out from the differential to pull the differential out. And now I got to go through these gear reduction boxes to pull the axles out. I tell you, the fun just keeps getting worse. Well, I got lucky. I found a place that has the parts for the tractor. A couple of parts I got to order from South Korea. Take a couple of weeks, so my next video should have the completion of the disassembly and possibly the installation of new parts. But until then, see ya!